Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Buckley, and I'm part of the I-405 Improvement Project Community Outreach Team. Thank you for joining us today to discuss upcoming activities at the Warner Avenue Bridge. I'm here with Nikki Wright, and we'll be providing a brief update on the project, and then we'll focus on the Warner Bridge. First, a little housekeeping. Nikki?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. Here are a few things to keep in mind for the meeting. After the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session where participants will have the opportunity to ask questions. And if you wish to ask a question during the Q&A portion, please click Q&A and type in your question, then click send. For those joining us by phone, dial *9 from your phone to virtually raise your hand. The host will call on the caller using the last 4 digits of the phone number, and the caller will hear a message that it is their turn to ask a question, and then you can press *6 to unmute. We have some resources for you, including the project fact sheet, our bridge map and fast facts, our express lanes FAQ map, and express lanes FAQ. And we'll also include our detour map for the upcoming closures of the bridge, and we'll link these documents in the chat so you can download them at any time during the presentation. We'll also be sharing a link to sign up for our project alerts, and you can sign up for project-wide alerts or bridge-specific alerts. And we'll also be conducting a few instant polls during our presentation, so please participate in those when you see them pop up. And we'll be sending out an electronic survey after the meeting, and we'd really appreciate your feedback. We'd like to acknowledge some additional team members who are working in the background to keep the webinar running smoothly. They are Jessica Stock, Joey Fernandez, and Anna Finlay. They'll be managing your questions and doing some research, communicating with the audience via the chat box. In addition, I'd also like to introduce Gia Lee, who will assist with any Vietnamese translation needed. Finally, we want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded and will be available tomorrow afternoon from our project website, octa.net/405improvement. So if you know anyone that couldn't make it tonight, tell them to head over to our website and check out our video. Now we're going to do our first poll. Please take a moment to participate in that.
Before we do that, Nikki, I'm going to break in here just a sec. Can we have Gia come back on and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris and Nikki. I'm Gia Lee, the interpreter for the presentation tonight. Xin chào quý vị, tôi tên là Gia Lý, thông dịch viên tiếng Việt trực tiếp trong buổi học khu phố này. Bài thuyết trình này sẽ được thực hiện bằng tiếng Anh. Nếu quý vị có bất kỳ câu hỏi nào, tôi có thể dịch ngay lập tức. Nếu quý vị muốn thảo luận riêng tư, xin vui lòng đánh máy cung cấp thông tin của quý vị trong hộp chat box trò chuyện hay là Q&A, thì tôi sẽ liên lạc trực tiếp với quý vị. Sau cuộc họp này, quý vị cũng có thể gọi đến đường dây điện thoại tiếng Việt ở số 1888 662 6569. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do our first poll. Please take a moment to participate. We'd like to know how you found out about this webinar.
Sorry, looks like we're getting a lot of responses in the poll, so that's good. I just want to make sure that my team could help me out in the background. Let me know. Can everybody see the beginning of the presentation? Excellent. Fantastic. All right, I think we will end the poll. And then I'm going to take over here. So thank you, Nikki. I'd like to now provide a brief overview and a status update on the project. And then we'll talk more about what's coming up at Warner Avenue. In this slide here, let me go to the next slide here. In this slide here, on the left, you can see the project limits are from about State Route 73 in Costa Mesa to I-605 in Seal Beach. That's a length of about 16 miles. And on the right, you'll see that one regular lane will be added in each direction of the 405, and that's consistent with Measure M, as shown in yellow. And then an additional lane will be added in each direction that will combine with the existing carpool lanes to provide dual express lanes from State Route 73 to I-605, as shown in green. On this slide, you can see some of the major features of the project. We are replacing 18 bridges. We're widening 4 others and constructing a new express lanes connector between SR 73 and the 405. We are also building more than 150 walls throughout the project area, and there will be, new bike lanes and sidewalks on all the replaced bridges. The overall cost of the project is approximately $2.08 billion. And next, I'm going to provide a brief update on construction activities. So we're very excited to share that the project is more than 55% complete, and we've got more than 1,000 workers involved in the project each day. These next several slides are going to show construction project out on the project. And on this slide in particular, you can see 3 of the bridges that are complete and open to traffic. Slater is shown on the left, Bouchard in the upper right, and McFadden Avenue in the lower right. This next slide shows the recently opened Talbert Bridge on the left and the soon to open Magnolia Bridge on the right. That's actually set to open this weekend, so we're really excited about that. It is the first 2-phase bridge on the project to fully open to traffic. And with Magnolia and Talbert bridges open, we will begin reconstruction of the Warner Bridge, and that's what we'll talk a bit more about in just later in the presentation. So in this slide, the photo on the left shows the reconstruction of the Heil pedestrian overcrossing. This new pedestrian overcrossing is expected to be completed and open later this year. And the photo on the right shows some of the reconstruction work going on at Edinger Bridge, and that's expected to open to traffic around the end of this year. Once Edinger is completed, by the way, we will be reconstructing the Newland Bridge. So this next slide shows construction at Beach Boulevard. The photos on the left show some of the aesthetics features on the walls under the freeway bridge. And the photo on the right shows ongoing construction at the Beach Boulevard interchange. So the improvements being made to this interchange and on beach itself will improve safety and traffic operations. It's a very important local street here when it's done. This is one of my favorite slides to show at this point. It wasn't always that way, but it shows the 4 bridge placements that are complete and open to traffic, right? So Slater, Talbert, Bouchard, and McFadden. The only bridges that have not yet started construction are shown in red, and we anticipate work will start on those bridges later this year or in early 2022. But as you can see, we have a significant number of bridges under construction, and that's what you see in orange. And by spring 2022, we also anticipate having 10 of the 18 bridge replacements complete and fully open to traffic. In addition, all 4 bridge widenings, like those at Harbor Boulevard, should be completed. All right, I'm going to jump into the Warner update, and that'll get us a little closer to the Q&A, which I know everybody has several questions. So the bridge is set to close at 5 a.m. on June 1st. Pre-demolition activities will begin almost immediately. And that includes removing what is known as the lost deck, right? So those are the forms that were used in creating the original bridge back in the 60s. There's also going to be removal work at the abutments. You can see the abutments on the left and right sides of this photo here. Let's see if I can do a little annotation, spotlight. So this is the one abutment, and this is on the southbound side, but looking northbound, I believe. And nonetheless, you can see on the left and right sides, you've got the abutments to the bridge, and then you have all of the columns, right? And the reason we have to replace Warner Bridge, by the way, is because of these sets of columns here, and these here and here. right? We can't add those extra lanes we want to add without removing those columns. Can't remove the columns without replacing the bridge. So the crews, once we close the ramp, once we close the bridge, that same night and through the morning of June 5th, they're going to close the Warner Avenue off ramps. Those are the loop off ramps. So the loop on ramps will remain, the on ramps will remain open, but for a few days after the bridge closes, we're going to have to close the loop off ramps. And that's because we're going to be constructing new temporary off ramps. So in this case, the northbound I-405 loop off ramp in its temporary condition will be realigned to output traffic onto eastbound Warner. And the southbound I-405 loop off ramp will be realigned to put traffic onto westbound Warner. And of course, that's because the bridge won't be there any longer. However, what this means is that all ramps at Warner will be open during construction, except for some occasional, intermittent closures as needed. So another element of the ramp closure or of the ramps that's important to go over is that all the ramps have to be reconstructed in the end. They have to be reconstructed to realign with both the new freeway and of course the new bridge. So sometime in 2022, we don't have it pinned down exactly, all of the ramps will close for up to 45 days, but it won't be simultaneously. There may be some overlap in some cases because of constructability issues. But generally speaking, reconstruction of all of the ramps will take place over a 12-week period sometime in 2022. And we'll share details, of course, and as well as detour information with the community as we get closer.
Chris, sorry
Sure.
to jump in. Can you just repeat, I think sound was lost just for a second. Maybe it was just for a few people. Repeat the closures, closure dates that you mentioned.
Sure, it's good, thank you. I'm just about to go over that again.
Okay.
So June 1st, and let me know if you have any problem hearing anything. June 1st, we anticipate closing, and this is at 5 a.m., closing the Warner Bridge, fully closing it. And then later that night, 10 p.m. June 1st to about 5 a.m. June 5th, that's Friday. Is it 1st to the 5th? Nonetheless, we've got 2 or 3 days in there where we're going to close the off ramps, right? So this is the week of Memorial Day. Work won't start until Tuesday, but during that week, once we close the bridge, during that week, we will close the loop off ramps to construct the temporary northbound off ramps. And again, those won't let you cross over the freeway at all. They'll be, if you're getting off northbound, you'll be directed to the east. If you're getting off southbound, you'll be directed to the west. We'll, I don't know, Nikki, do we have our detour map in place for that in the chat? Are we offering that as well?
Let me double check.
Okay, if not, we can. But nonetheless, June 1st closure and the start of some ramp work to create a temporary ramp situation for the loop off ramps. Demolition itself, this is of the Warner Bridge. It's expected to take place over the course of 3 weekends, right? So June 6th, June 12th, and June 19th. The demolition hours haven't been set yet. However, the freeway is expected to be fully closed for this work. Again, as we get closer to those demo dates, we'll have more information out to the community. There will be additional demolition, right? There's going to be demolition starting immediately, like pre-demolition activities, as I mentioned. But there will be additional demolition at night under lane closures, as well as during the day. And the reason for that is there's more to take down than just that major structure you see itself, right? And they may not get to everything under those overnight closures of the freeway. So they may have to take down the columns, they may have to take down more, do more abutment demolition, et cetera. And anything that takes place on the freeway itself that requires lane closures, that's going to have to happen at night. So I just want the community to be aware that there will be ongoing demolition for several weeks, and just to be aware of that. In general, day shift hours are 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. With crews mobilizing as early as 6 a.m. And then night shift hours are 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Typically, night work consists of removing demolished materials. That, again, like I said, requires lane closures, and Caltrans pretty much only allows those to happen at night because of traffic volumes. So now a little bit about the construction of the new bridge. As it says here, we expect it to take approximately 23 months. The process is to begin with the foundation, which includes installing temporary shoring, doing some excavation work to clear out the area where piles are going to be installed. And so there'll be pile driving for a certain number of weeks. And they do pile driving on both the outsides of the bridge, and I'm going to come back to this. They do it out here on the left, out here on the right side in this picture, and where the center columns are going to go. So pile driving establishes the foundation for the bridge. Then they start working on the substructure. And that is the abutments and the columns. And again, as you see here on the left, on the right, these are the abutments, and then they'll have center columns. Okay. Let's go up here, change this. So after substructure is done, we're out of the ground, we're building up, we've got the abutments and the columns. Then they work on the superstructure itself. That's this part of the bridge here that you see, right? So that's the bridge itself. They'll start by installing false work, and those are the steel beams and the timber that they use to. It basically is a support system for the bridge while it's being built. Then they'll do form work. They'll install forms. These bridges aren't 100% concrete. They're not this monolithic piece of concrete because that would be far too heavy. So there are cells inside the bridge, just open cells, and they create those cells by using wooden forms. And then they put in rebar, right? This is this reinforcement bar, steel rebar. And then they pour concrete, and that forms the bridge itself, but it's a series of cells. So once they finish the substructure and the superstructure, and you've got what looks like a bridge, and they'll pour the bridge deck, right? So you'll see that covered. They'll then work on the ramps as well. And as I mentioned earlier, the ramps are expected to be reconstructed over a 12-week period. And actually, that may happen sooner than the completion of all the other work, right? Because this is supposed to happen in 2022, and the bridge itself we don't expect to open until mid-2023. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the ramps themselves. A lot of times people wonder what the geometry is going to look like, what the geometrics of the ramps are. So this is the northbound on-ramp. This is from what's known as the pavement delineation sheet in the plans. And it shows you, how many lanes basically you're going to have. It shows you what the pavement markings are going to be. So this is Warner here. This is the northbound on-ramp. This is the northbound loop off-ramp. As you can see, it'll loop off here, come down, and then there'll be a crosswalk here for pedestrians. I do not know, maybe team, we could check in the background if this is going to be not signalized, but if there's going to be a stop sign at all. But I don't know for sure what the status of that is. You can also see that there's a collector distributor road through here, so you'll be able to access another off-ramp, the one further north as you go through here. And then you have a 2-lane on-ramp, and that ultimately, I believe, tapers down to 1 lane as we move onto the freeway. So this is how it looks getting off and on the freeway from the northbound side.
Chris, while you're working on the next part, there will not be a traffic signal. I got confirmation from the technical team.
Okay, what about a stop sign? I doubt we'd stop people on the freeway, so most likely it's no stop sign either. It's probably just a free ride.
We'll confirm, and then we are working on putting the detour maps in the chat, so look out for those, everyone.
Fantastic. So, and by the way, I keep looking up because I've got a second monitor here with the presentation on it, so that's why. So this is the southbound side, and as you can see, we've got 2 lanes for the southbound on-ramp. Again, stops here. There'll be a meter here, and then it tapers down to 1 lane. And then the southbound off-ramp, same here. So similarly to the way it is set up today, you'll be making this right turn. And all of these ramps are having to be reconfigured in part, of course, because we're widening the freeway, but also because we're trying to make it safer for pedestrians, bicyclists, and motorists, right? And to minimize any kind of sort of weaving and merging that's going on. So that's in here as well. So the last thing I want to address before I hand it over to Nikki to talk a little bit more about our engagement strategies is we want to acknowledge that initially the plan was to do Warner in 2 stages. And this now means, as we're saying here, we're closing Warner completely and doing it as a 1-stage bridge, and it'll be under construction for about 23 months. And that's a lot for people, right? Because initially the thinking was, hey, we're going to be able to use Warner as, it may be a little bit more congested, but it'll be kept open to traffic during construction. So it's going to ease congestion around here. The reason we are actually doing it as 1 stage, and the city has supported us on this with the city of Fountain Valley, is because it really reduces the construction time significantly and ultimately gets us out of the city of Fountain Valley a lot sooner. So if we were to take it as a 2-stage bridge, it would actually be 32 months of construction. So we're cutting off about a year's worth of construction by doing it as a 1-stage bridge. In addition, with Magnolia open, with Talbot open, with several bridges open around there to their full capacity, and with optimizing the signals at all of the intersections that are associated with all the detours, we really anticipate that we'll be able to handle the traffic that is detoured away from Warner. So all of this was covered under a traffic analysis. Everything was reviewed, and we will have a team of people. They're known as our maintenance of traffic team. They're out there making sure the traffic is flowing properly, addressing any changes that need to be made or modifications that need to be made to the detours, and just making sure that we're keeping traffic flowing. That is not to say, of course, that it won't be difficult, right? If you dealt with the fact that we have Ward closed now, for example, right? That makes it more difficult because you don't have that open, you don't have that opportunity to just cut across the freeway in that case. So it will be more time added to the commute, and I always recommend to people that you add at least 10 minutes to your commute time, to your expected commute time, to get around this. But we'll be getting things back into place sooner than you expect. It's 23 months, 2 years, right? But it's definitely better than the additional 11 months, or I'm sorry, 9 months beyond that. So we're shaving about 9 months off, if my math is correct. That's about it. I'm going to hand it over to Nikki to talk about our engagement strategies, and then we'll begin our Q&A.
Okay, thank you. And just a few pieces of information that you were asking us to check on. No stop sign, we confirmed. The off-ramp lanes are going to be free right movement.
Free right movements, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. And then we see questions coming in the Q&A. Thank you so much. Please ask those in the Q&A section, the question and answer box, not the chat, if you can. And we will get to those in just a few minutes. And I will talk a little bit about our engagement strategies. So as you can see from the slide, we connect with the community in a variety of ways, both in print and electronically. For major activities like bridge demo or pile driving, we canvass flyers to the addresses within about a half a mile of the bridge. So if you live within, a half mile of the Warner Bridge or any other bridges, I'm sure you've seen our flyers. We also send out regular updates via email and on social media, and you can find closure and detour information on our interactive map at octa.net/405map. That same information is available on our navigation app, not our navigation app, the navigation app Waze. We have a special partnership with them, and you can download our mobile app. In fact, we're actually moving away from that right now. We're going to be more focused on sending out those email alerts, our interactive map, and our social media. So that's the way to go. We also like to have in-person discussions for major updates like this, but we will be continuing to conduct these virtual meetings for the time being. All right, next slide. Thank you. So this is a great screenshot that you can take or take a photo of your phone. This is all of our project contact information. If you have any specific questions or concerns, please call our project helplines. We have them in Vietnamese And we have Spanish translators and team members. If you call the English line, that's for both. Or you can email us at 405project@octa.net. If we don't have an answer for you right away with your question, we'll work with our colleagues on the technical team to get you one. So we're going to do another poll. If you could please take a moment to fill out our second poll. In the poll section, what is the best way for you to get construction updates? We would like to know.
I'm not seeing any responses come in there. Are we sure that people can see the poll? There we go. There we go.
I'm wondering if it takes a minute to collect the information. Okay. So we can see the answers, just the information, numbers moving as answers come in, which is interesting. Looks like mostly email at this point. Thank you for letting us know.
Yes, much appreciated. So with that, we'd like to begin the Q&A portion of the meeting, but let's also bring Gia back on for a moment. Gia, if you could join us.
Yes. Hi, I'm back here. Xin nhắc lại là tôi vẫn còn ở đây nếu quý vị có những cái câu hỏi hay thắc mắc gì mà cần thông dịch. Và xin nhắc lại đường dây điện thoại tiếng Việt là số đúng là 1888-662-6569. I want to put a quick correction. Vietnamese hotline is 888-662-6569, not 89. Thank you.
Thank you, Gia. We need to get that corrected. Thank you so much. All right, with that, let's begin the Q&A. Nikki, what do we have?
Okay. So Andrew asked if the Warner Bridge was going to have a traffic signal, which we already answered. Andrew, it will not have a traffic signal like Magnolia, and it will not have a stop sign. The off-ramp lanes will be a free right movement. And Teresa had a comment. She's had multiple tire damage within construction on the 405. Can we provide assurance that debris and construction materials, especially bolts and nails, et cetera, are going to be cleared appropriately?
Yeah, that is very, very important. We've experienced quite a bit of that throughout the project period. If you run into anything like that, though, and you believe it's a result of the project, please let us know, because we will facilitate the claims process for you. OC405 partners, they handle all the claims, of course, but everything comes through the outreach team. We make sure they get the information the same day it comes in, and then we keep tabs on that to make sure that it's being addressed. And anytime you tell us about something too, we get it out there, something like this with debris on the roadway, we get it out to the construction team and to the contractor and request that it be addressed as quickly as possible. But importantly, Teresa, what we'll do is take the information you've given us here, that you're seeing a lot of this out there. We'll take that back to our construction management crew and ask them to review it, to go over it with the contractor to make sure that they are living up to their responsibility of keeping the construction areas clean as possible. Thank you.
All right. We have Fountain Valley Councilmember Kim Constantine on with us. Thank you so much for joining us. She has a question. Will there be a toll lane on the 405 at Warner when the bridge opens?
The toll lanes are expected to open toward the end of the project, and that is currently late 2023. So it'll probably be after the bridge is completed, just a little bit after the bridge is completed. Yes.
All right. Another question from Teresa, also regarding maintenance. During construction, will residents have the ability or a way to directly connect with the maintenance of traffic advisor via email or text?
Yeah. Go ahead, Nikki. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, that's basically what our team is for. We're your liaisons between the technical team and the maintenance of traffic team. So anything that you have questions about as far as turn lanes or traffic or maintenance of traffic or the signal synchronization on city streets, we'd be happy to take that information if you email our team or give us a call on the helpline, and then we share that in our weekly meetings with that team. Did you have anything to add to that, Chris?
No, not at all. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, Donna had a question. Will some of the left turn signals be longer? The South Beach to Heil is too short, and the buses and all the people with all the buses and the people making U-turns.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of a concern regarding maintenance of traffic and keeping the traffic flowing properly. And so we'll take that comment, you know, and hand it off to the technical team, to the maintenance of traffic crew, and ask them to take a look at that. I don't think that's the first time we've heard that concern, though, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll definitely get that to the team and take a look at that. But anytime you see an issue where, you know, you're at a signal and, you know, a small number of vehicles gets through because of any number of reasons, shoot us an email, give us a call, just let us know, and we will work to get it addressed as quickly as possible. It can take sometimes a day or two because the construction team has to get out there, you know, the maintenance of traffic team has to get out there, review the situation along with the construction crews, you know, the actual crews out in the field who will make any adjustments that are necessary.
Okay. David has a question. The southbound off-ramp at Brookhurst, interesting construction along the right side of the off-ramp showing several concrete slabs. Several are upright along most of the off-ramp, again on the right side. There's a base, like a stair step. Is this a sound buffer wall or is it a lane, a traffic maintenance lane?
So I'm going to ask that we check in with our technical colleagues who joined us on the background of the meeting here, but I'm almost certain that is what's known as an MSE wall, or the start of construction of a mechanically stabilized earth wall, and it's just a different way of retaining, setting up a retaining wall. I think that's what it is. And no, it's not going to be a sound wall. There's no sound wall along that off ramp that's being constructed. I don't think there is anyway. But we'll see what the technical team says. I may be completely wrong.
We have a lot of walls and MSE walls and all kinds of things being built. So as you can imagine, it's a long project. So we'll get that information. All right, Thomas had a question. He was at the Ward, or watched the Ward Bridge meeting in April. The plan was for Warner Bridge construction to start later this year or early next. Why was the Warner Bridge schedule changed?
It's possible that I misspoke at that meeting. As far as I know, we've always been on schedule to start Warner in mid. You know, it's possible that it moved up a little bit, but it's always been mid 2021 as far as I know. What I think I may have said was a general phrase about the bridges that weren't yet under construction, that aside from what we had currently based on that bridge map I had shown, that the rest of the bridges would be under construction, that all of them would be under construction rather by late 2021 or early 2022. So I apologize if I misspoke at that one, but I don't think we've ever had anything but a planned mid 2021 start for Warner.
All right, and Lee is just confirming, yes, the closure is anticipated for Warner to be 23 months, not weeks. I don't know if we said weeks, but it would be nice.
Apologize, yes, no, 23 months.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's as opposed to 32 months, right?
All right. We have another question from Thomas. When will the northbound I-405 on-ramp entrance at Warner be increased to its original 2 lanes. It was reduced to 1 lane for Magnolia construction.
Right.
And at the traffic light at Bouchard and Warner, the right light is for both right turn and the entrance to the 405. So when that Warner Bridge is closed, will the right lane be converted to the right lane only to Bouchard and the second right lane to northbound 405 only?
So Nikki, I think that's a question we're going to have to, is a complicated series of questions. And I think what we're going to have to do is take that back to the technical team, and maybe if Thomas could shoot us an email, so we have his email address, and then we can respond, and then we'll include the responses to this question in our follow-up to the meeting, so that everybody who's attending the meeting or who signed up for the meeting will receive answers to these as well.
Okay.
But I think that's I don't have the technical knowledge of the plans to say whether all of those things will be adjusted or changed. I can say that, you know, I wouldn't expect the Warner northbound on-ramp to change back to 2 lanes for quite some time, right? It's not going to probably change back to 2 lanes until the ramp is reconstructed in its final configuration. And again, that's expected to happen in 2022.
All right, sounds good. So we will follow up with you, Thomas. All right. And Brian had a question about, you know, who was basically the one to approve the Edinger and Warner bridges to be closed at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier on. You know, as we discussed, the plan originally was to have Warner constructed in 2 phases, right? And that's allows us to keep it open to traffic during construction, easier on the community, easier for motorists, obviously. However, if we continued down that path, we had a 32-month schedule for completing Warner. And we want to make sure that we are finishing this project on time, that we are getting out of Fountain Valley as soon as we can, right? You guys have taken a lot of the brunt of construction. So we worked with the city, we discussed it with city officials, and got their support to make an adjustment to the schedule, to change Warner to a 1-stage bridge, and to mitigate the schedule, you know, take 9 months basically off the schedule. And that's significant. And it is, yes, you are correct, more inconvenient for motorists traveling throughout the city. But with Magnolia open and with Talbot open, with the other bridges in the area that we've opened, and with optimizing these traffic signals at the surrounding intersections where the detours are, the traffic analysis showed that the detour traffic from Warner could be managed. But again, I always encourage people to take at least 10 minutes, add at least 10 minutes to your schedule. It depends on, you know, if you're traveling during peak periods, but add some time to your travel time, and that'll definitely be helpful. And we realize this is not easy on you. We appreciate your patience, but this gets us out of the community sooner. So, and get the project completed on schedule.
All right. Thomas had a comment about a sign that might be incorrect at Brookhurst prior to the Slater intersection. So we will take that back to the team as well. It looks like it might say a right only, and that might not be the case. So we'll take this back to the team and see if it needs to be adjusted. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Thomas has a lot of really good long questions for us. So give me a second here to read it. Another one near the Brookhurst intersection. This might have to be one that we also look up.
Yeah, I think those are some good comments, Thomas. I think what we'd like is for you to go ahead and put those in an email to us. We've captured them here as well, of course, but that way we have your email address and we can get back to you on these. And we can include them in our response to the larger group as well.
Yes, thank you. And then one of your last comments, Thomas, about the concrete and the transition roads for the 73 and the 405 in both directions, it looks like isn't the best quality and the surface is rough. So we will also bring that, just like your sign comment, we'll bring that to the team to see if there's anything that they can do to make that a little bit smoother there. All right. And Mr. Steve Dees, I recognize that name. You've been emailing us for a long time. Hope you're doing well. Since the landscaping will not be started until 2023, will you be doing weed abatement to keep the weeds along the off ramps under control? That's a good question.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to say that the landscaping will actually start in 2022. There's a lot of landscaping to do, so it's going to begin sooner than 2023. There will always be an effort to get that landscaping started earlier, right, as soon as possible. One thing that comes with the landscaping and the irrigation is something known as a plant establishment period. And the reason for that is to ensure that any plants that don't make it, or any irrigation that is damaged during construction, new irrigation that's damaged during construction, that the contractor replaces that, right? And so there's I believe a 3-year plant establishment period. It'll likely be staggered, right? Because we can't do all of it all at the same time for the entire project. But to your point of weed abatement, yes, that's something that we're constantly looking at. As you may see out there on the freeway, there's debris along the sides. There's trash out there. There are weeds and you can see it up and down the project area. It depends on if it rains, things like that as well. So we have a group fully dedicated to that. And there's somebody whose job it is to manage maintenance requests. Some of those come in through Caltrans because people submit them through their online portal. Some of them come through us. Others come through directly from our construction management team to the contractor. But we have a person who manages all of those requests, and we work with the contractor to try to address them. It is nonstop, and they have crews that are dedicated to this work, and they just keep moving throughout the project area to try to clean up. But if you see an area that's particularly bad, certainly flag it for us, send us an email, give us a call, let us know, and we will make sure that it gets on the radar of our maintenance team.
All right. Kim Constantine, the council member for Fountain Valley, just had a comment that she puts a lot of the 405 updates that we post on her Facebook, on her timeline, and in many of the groups once she receives them. So that's also a great resource for you and the neighborhood and the community to get information. Thank you for mentioning that.
Thank you, Councilmember Constantine. Much appreciated.
All right. And Chris had a question. When will the large pile of dirt on the south entrance be gone?
I don't know. I don't know what that large pile of dirt is, except that it may be for settlement. So one of the things I didn't mention in the sort of construction process for new bridges, and if this is what we're talking about, the southbound entrance to the 405, a lot of times, well, in almost every instance for these new bridges, they put large piles of dirt to compress the earth beneath it, and that's called placing settlement fill. And the idea there is they want to compress that earth down below before they do their pile driving, because once they do the pile driving, put the concrete cap on top of the piles and start to build up and get out of the ground and then build the entire bridge, they don't want that bridge sinking in any way, shape, or form, right? It cannot go down. So there's a settlement period. And I'm presuming that's what the large pile of dirt is for in this location. And the settlement, the geology of the area is such that the settlement fill location may not be exactly where you think it would normally be, right? There's a lot of science behind this, where they're placing this fill in certain locations to ensure that the ground in the appropriate area is compressed properly. So there's a lot behind that. If that large pile of dirt is for something else, if it's a result of some excavation work that was done, we'll look into that. We'll find out from the technical team if that is something, and then see if that is how long that's going to be in place. And we will for sure get back to you. Thank you, Chris.
I bet you thought that was going to be a simple answer.
Yeah.
Nope. We'll get back to you. All right. And Kim, Councilmember Constantine, just said thank you. Thank you for all of your coordination at the city and helping us get through this project and partnering with us.
Agreed. Much appreciated.
All right. Susan had a question. What kind of noise should we expect? Plavin Elementary is near the freeway and many of us who are working from home.
Right. So a couple things there. You're going to, of course, the nights of demolition. It's well, even before the nights of demolition, they're going to start punching holes in the bridge deck, right? And those are little excavators with breaker hammers on them, pneumatic breaker hammers on them, and they just start punching at the concrete bridge deck, and then they remove the wood forms. They actually have crews that they put ladders down in those holes. They have crews that go down there and by hand they remove all the wood forms. And the reason they do that, by the way, is because they don't want any wood mixed in with the demolished concrete and steel that comes later when they take the bridge down, because a lot of that material is repurposed, reused, right? And so that's in what you'll hear first, right? This sort of constant ding, 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 and it is annoying. Once we have major demolition going on, that is also a series of very large excavators using pneumatic hammers to pound away at the concrete. There are iron workers that are using cutting torches and cutting the rebar down. There are dump trucks that and loaders loading those dump trucks with demolished material to take that off. So we're going to have 3 solid nights of that activity. And then, as I mentioned, there's additional demolition that happens, during the day and at night during this period until all of the area is completely cleared of the old bridge. And that's, the entire bridge, the columns, the center median, the pile caps. There's excavation work to do. You'll hear that work as well. Much of the excavation work should take place during the day. The next big noise you hear after that is when they start to work on the foundations, and that's the pile driving. And that's a constant sort of thumping, right? These are big cranes that hold the piles up, and basically a big hammer that comes down and knocks those piles into the ground. And there are a certain number of strikes that are required for each pile to get it in there, and a certain number of piles required for the entire foundation. I don't have the exact number and it's piles on both sides of the bridge and also in the center median area where the columns are going to be. So quite a bit of pile driving that's expected here. That's the big noise. And then at that point, we pretty much get up and out of the ground, and there's a lot less noise. If you're living right next to the bridge, there are some other activities that can be noisy. Both sides of the bridge, when they build those, it involves retaining walls. So those retaining walls similarly may have pile foundations, so there could be additional pile driving related to that. There is a lot of excavation work that goes on. They have to move a lot of dirt around. They have to compact the dirt to a certain percentage of compactness, and that requires the use of something called a vibratory roller. That can be a small thing, depending on the location, and where they have to compact the dirt, or it can be a very large machine. And these vibratory rollers are just what it sounds like. They're rolling and vibrating at the same time, right? So they're tamping down the dirt, and creating this compacted area. And those are to ensure that the bridge is constructed to Caltrans standards. Beyond that, you're going to hear a lot of backup alarms. A lot of there's obviously a lot of communication among the crew. There is placement of, when they're doing rebar, that's not really loud, right? They're placing rebar, but when they're dropping off materials, you may hear that. When they are doing concrete pours, that's gonna be noticeable. Not a lot of loud noise, but certainly a lot of backup alarms. We do have the opportunity to offer temporary lodging. So if you need a night or two of respite from the project, you just can't take the noise anymore, give us a call, let us know. We will coordinate some temporary lodging for you with the contractor. The night's stay is taken care of. They don't cover parking, they don't cover food, things like that, but you wouldn't have to pay for staying at a hotel overnight, and it's typically a Marriott property locally. So long-winded answer, but it is a lot. And if you need some assistance, let us know. And I'd like to make this other offer. We do have earplugs. We're happy to provide you with earplugs and keep you in good supply. So.
Yes, just email or call us and we can send those to you or drop them off too. Okay, Lee had a comment and question. We're already experiencing heavy traffic on Warner East and West. How is traffic planned to be redirected? There's long wait times to get out of the housing track, especially since we have only one exit and one entrance.
Yeah, Lee, that makes a lot of sense. And the first thing I think that you're going to experience is probably less traffic, right? Because the bridge is going to be completely closed. It's going to be gone. So you won't have cross traffic coming as much. There will still be people exiting the freeway though. And so there will be that. What we'll do is make sure that we take this concern. If you could shoot us an email and let us know, your address, or street, whatever works for you. And let us know. That way we can convey that to the maintenance of traffic team, see if there are any adjustments that need to be made. There are a series of detours. I think the detour maps have been put in the chat. Links to the detour maps have been put in the chat for when the bridge is closed. And that's going to be, that'll be redirecting traffic. In addition, our partnership with Waze will include detours. These are not the crowdsourced detours that show up as a result of people saying, hey, turn left here, turn right there, go through this residential neighborhood. Those detours, our detours, are prioritized over that because they're city-approved detours and they don't involve residential streets, they involve arterials. So hopefully that will direct traffic away from the area as well. That is the intent.
All right. And thank you for everyone's patience. We have quite a few questions, which is great. And we're answering them in the order that they come in. So thank you for your patience. Lynn asked, you mentioned adjusting traffic lights to address congestion. Who would we contact if we see a need for adjustments? And that would be our team. We work with the maintenance of traffic folks, and then in turn, they also work with the folks at the city in the traffic department. And so they go out and assess and watch cars and count cars and see how long the lights are and what can be adjusted. So please email us, a specific intersection and maybe time of day is helpful too. All right, and Lynn also had a question, why is the free express lane being taken away? And I think she means the carpool lane that exists there today.
Yeah, so actually it's a different Lynn, believe it or not. Different last names is what I think I noticed. But I believe you're referring to the carpool lane, the what's also known as an HOV lane, right? And that lane is a managed lane, right? Because only a certain number, only vehicles with a certain number of people are allowed in that lane. So we are changing this to an express lane, or a tolled carpool lane, right? Tolled high occupancy vehicle lane, if you will. I'm sorry, that's not correct. Just a tolled lane. And we're actually adding, so it'll be 2 tolled lanes in each direction. Plus the freeway is adding another regular lane in each direction, right? So you don't have to use those toll lanes. So we're adding capacity for different kinds of drivers, right? If you don't want to take a toll lane, you can take the general purpose lane. And because somebody else may want to take that toll lane because they need to get home, take their kid to practice, something like that. So they may decide to take the toll lane. The purpose of these express lanes of these toll lanes is to it's another concept of managed lanes. And this is a Caltrans sort of mandate. It's a state mandate. It is a federal mandate, right? The mandate is reduce greenhouse gas emissions. One of the ways you reduce greenhouse gas emissions is have people carpool. Another way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions is to charge people to use the express lanes. You're not obliged to use it. You can also take the free lanes as well. But if you want to use those express lanes, you would pay a fee for that. And those express lanes are going to be managed in such a way, the pricing in those lanes will be managed similar to the 91 in Orange County, not in Riverside County, managed so that the speed is always at least 45 miles per hour and preferably 65 miles per hour, right? So the idea is you don't want to be sort of stuck in traffic, and that being stuck in traffic doesn't help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So we keep traffic flowing in those lanes, and people who choose to use those lanes, that opens up capacity in the regular lanes as well. So we've added capacity, and we've given people the choice to use either the toll lanes or the express lane, or the free lanes rather. How we got to this point, the project you see out there where from the 73 to the 605, that's a Measure M project. So in 2006, 69%, I think it was a little over 69% of voters approved Measure M. That measure included 13 freeway projects, if you will, but those have been broken up into segments. So there are 30 freeway projects, and those are capacity projects. One of those was 73 to 605, add capacity as part of Measure M. And your half-cent local sales tax pays for that, right? So Measure M is a half-cent sales tax for local transportation improvements. So you go buy a car, you go buy a loaf of bread, whatever tax you pay, half a cent of that goes to the Orange County Transportation Authority for transportation improvements. It doesn't go to pay for carpool lanes or HOV lanes, or rather tolled lanes. It doesn't go to pay for that. But when our board of directors, which these are your elected representatives who are on our board of directors, when they wanted to move forward with the widening of the 405 using Measure M funds, Caltrans stepped in. They are the owner operator of the freeway system, and they said, we want you to add 2 carpool lanes, and we want to have a tolled express lane system along this segment of the 405. And so there was a lot of negotiation, and ultimately the agreement was, yes, we will move forward with a project that adds 1 regular lane and 1 additional lane to combine with the HOV lane for express lanes. But we're paying with the regular lane only with Measure M funds. And the new express lanes, in both directions, those are being paid for through a transportation loan, right? It's called the TIFIA loan. That loan is not being paid back by taxpayers. That loan is being paid back by the toll lane users. So through their toll fees, they're paying back that loan. We've got a very low interest rate on it, but nonetheless, tolls, not taxes, pay that back. And those tolls also pay for the cost to operate and maintain those toll lanes. And then any additional funds above and beyond that go back into the corridor for additional transportation needs, whatever they are. So you do not have local taxes going to pay for the cost of those toll lanes. And I think that's an important distinction. And we are adding capacity so that you don't have to take those toll lanes if you don't want to. And our analysis, we had to do a traffic and revenue analysis to qualify for the TIFIA loan. That analysis showed that it would take, to get those 16 miles throughout the 16-mile corridor that we're working on, if you're in the express lanes, it'll take about 15 minutes to get from one end to the other, right? So you're basically traveling 60, 65 miles per hour. And if you're traveling in the general purpose lanes, the regular lanes, it'll take about 30 minutes. This is during peak hours. It'll take 30 minutes to travel that 16 miles. So a little slower, But if you recall traveling the 405 during peak periods before the project started, you could be in those lanes for at least an hour, right, to get from one end of the from Costa Mesa to the county line. So very long-winded explanation. I know my staff put some links to the express lanes FAQ in there. We've also got an express lanes map, shows an access map where you're going to get into the express lanes. There's a lot of history on our website about Measure M and the purpose and the use of those Measure M funds. You can also go to the Caltrans website and find out more information about managed lanes and something called HOV degradation, right? So there's an analysis by the state that says HOV lanes aren't working as well as they used to. How do we keep traffic flowing? We add additional management to those lanes. And I would say that you can expect to see additional tolled lanes throughout Orange County and the rest of the state in the future.
Okay.
Long answer. Sorry about that.
It's not an easy question, it's not a simple question to answer. Okay, Alan had a question. What is the plan for the mini golf land? I think that's Boomers. They're off of Warner and Magnolia.
Yeah, so it is a private property, privately held. A lot of people have concerns about the graffiti there, about transients, homeless. All of those issues need to be reported to the city, and the city contacts the property owner and asks to have those addressed. It is a difficult issue. I know the city has been trying hard to make things work there, but it's not part of the purview of the project.
All right. Andrew had a question. I don't think we've answered this one yet. Is there going to be a traffic signal on Magnolia, northbound off and on ramp?
I'm going to ask one of our team members in the background to answer that question, but I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Okay. I believe there will be you'll be able to turn left and right off of Magnolia in both directions getting off the freeway.
Okay. Our technical team member, I think, had to jump off, so we may have to be emailing you, Andrew, once we find out and are able to look at the plans. And Lee, to answer your question, yes, the express lanes, the new tolled express lanes are going to be replacing the HOV carpool lanes. I don't think, Chris, you mentioned this though. So the express lanes, if you ride as a single driver, you pay a toll all the time. And this is in our express lanes FAQ, which Chris did mention is in the chat. If you have two or more, you pay for the first 3 years at certain peak times, but then you're free the rest of the time, I think is how it works. And then if you are 3 or more, you're free no matter what. So you still will be able to carpool with 3 or more for free in the express lanes. Just a little bit different than what it is now.
And after 3.5 years, 2+, I believe there is a toll.
Yes. Gavin had a question specific to his address. He backs up to Magnolia right before Heil. And with the new grading to the street, because it's risen, the sidewalk is higher than it was before, and people can see into his backyard. So are there any plans to fix this? We might need your specific address, Gavin, and we might be able to take this to the team and find out what's going on in that area and see if there's anything that's going to be changing or that we can change if possible.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. We need to find out where you live, Gavin, and get a little sense of, what's not clear is, I'm just looking at a map right now. So I'm assuming you live somewhere off of Daisy, maybe off of Wendy Circle in there, somewhere in there, or Mazza Circle. You're right, though. What happens with these bridges is because the freeway is widening, the bridges have to be longer, right? And there are fewer spans. It's a 2-span bridge as opposed to 4 spans, meaning there's the center set of columns and 2 outside set of columns, generally speaking. So these bridges are longer, which means they have to be higher, and they're wider as well. So coming closer, the approach to the bridge or leaving the bridge and heading toward Heil it's going to be higher. I don't know what the status is or the plan is. There is fencing, but I don't think it's going to extend to that area where the housing is. So we'll have to take a look at that. But if you could shoot us an email with your address, we'll take it to the technical team and look at exactly what the design shows.
All right. And then we did get confirmation both the Magnolia I-405 intersections will be signalized. So that was a question that I think Andrew asked.
Did we ever hear about the response to the question about the upright concrete panels off of Brookhurst?
Not yet.
This is off the southbound Brookhurst off ramp. Okay.
Not yet. All right. And Gavin had another question. What about damage that's been done to concrete in the backyard? I thought that was important to share this one specifically because other people may also have the same question. We do have a claims process, Gavin. So if you please email our team, again, we're just your go-between for everything really between the contractor on the project and anything that you have questions about. Email us the photos if you have them, if any video is helpful, and specific dates if you can, if the photos aren't time stamped, about the damage so that we can help facilitate the claims process for you. And the claims process is actually the contractor's process. We are not part of that. It's a claim that you're placing with the contractor, but we will help pass the information along. And it's good for us to be aware of what you're, sharing with for the claim so that we can follow up if need be for you. All right, Peggy had a question. She lives off the track off of Warner with only one way in and one way out. I think maybe some of the other folks had kind of mentioned something about this too. Then they might live there as well. Is it possible to open up the storage yard at the end of the cul-de-sac to provide some more opportunities to get in and out of Warner?
My bet is that we're talking about, I don't know if the storage yard is city property or if it's a private business, but it's not likely that it's in the Caltrans right of way, which is where our project is taking place. But generally speaking, any change to sort of ingress and egress where somebody's coming in and out on a street, that's going to be up to the city almost in all cases. I don't know that a change would be made though. We've had maybe one or two similar requests, but because the project is really temporary, even though it's 5 years, 6 years, the cities typically are not really willing to make those changes. But feel free to give us an email, tell us what you're talking about. We will take a look at it. If it is within the project area, we'll see if we can address that. If it's not within the project area, we'll refer you to the city. Thank you, Peggy.
All right, Susan had a question. And again, thank you for all of your questions. We're still getting through them as they come in. So thank you for your patience. Susan, we live next to Plavin Elementary. I think this is kind of a similar situation here. And our only entry and entrance is to Warner. There's a do not block painted, so we're accessible during can you have a do not block painted so we're accessible during emergencies? The other problem is people exiting and entering 7 Leaves, which is near the on-ramp.
Yeah, so again, it sounds like that may be on a city street. We can ask the maintenance of traffic team to take a look at that area. I don't think we need any more description than what you have there, although it may help if you provide us an address via email, Susan. We can take a look, see if there's anything that can be done. You aren't going to typically see us making changes to pavement markings that are not within the project area, though. But we'll definitely take a look at it for you, and if we can help, I'm not sure this is something where we would refer you to the city though, because it's likely that they would not do that. They're not going to make a change like that. But we will take a look and see if the maintenance of traffic team has any solutions for you. Please do reach out to us, Susan, with your address. I think that would be helpful.
Okay. Next, we have James asking about his specific wall. My backyard rear wall is approximately 15 to 20 feet south of the new sound wall at Warner and southbound off ramp. This area may be a storm drain, but is there anything further that we can provide regarding what is going to be in that area between the new sound wall and the homes nearest the wall? Is there any plans? I'm sorry, any residential walls being replaced with the sound walls?
So I think south of the new sound wall along the Warner 405 South on ramp, walls being replaced with sound walls? No. So just to answer that last question, are any residential walls being replaced with sound walls? No, that is not. There are no plans for sound walls along that ramp. I do believe, and the area there is going to be drainage, but there also is going to be some landscaping in there. So that'll provide a little bit of a screen for you, but there are no plans. I believe you probably live somewhere maybe along sort of El Cortez or that area. And we did have a discussion about that ramp a while back, I think. As far as I know, in the research I recall, there are no additional walls that are planned for that area.
All right. And Christine had a message or a question. When will the Edinger Bridge open? I think we said fall this year is what we anticipate.
Yeah, I think we're late 2021 is the thinking.
Okay. And Lee had a comment, 32 months of partial closure of the Warner Bridge would have been more tolerable than 23 months of full closure. Was the community included in this decision?
So Lee, I definitely hear sort of your point of view. Different people have different points of view on that. Definitely having to deal with a full closure for 23 months is a lot. 32 months of construction work in the area, I think is also difficult for people to have dealt with. The community was not included in the decision. The city, however, was included. One of the things that when we look to mitigate the schedule, complete the project, ensure we stay within schedule and budget to the greatest degree possible. There are some circumstances that we can't control. For example, heavy rainy seasons that we had a couple winters back. But we went to the city, we explained the opportunity, and asked them, if it would make sense. They concurred that it would make sense. And there are different sides to it, right? I'm sure if I were having to deal with a full closure, it would be frustrating for me as well. That's why we had to ensure that Magnolia was going to be open before this closure. It's why we had to ensure Talbot would be open, before this closure, so that there are some options. And I realize it's not going across the freeway in the same way, but we're really making sure to increase capacity to the extent possible, and help people get around that. Thank you for your question. I get the frustration. I apologize that it's not going to be what you'd like, but this is the plan we've got to do to make sure we finish this project on time.
Yes. All right, Darren had a question. Any plans to resurface the 405 freeway in the areas where the bridges were taken down, as these areas of asphalt were very rough?
So it's a great question, Darren. One of the things so what's included in this project is construction of those, basically adding a lane in the center of the freeway in each direction, and adding a lane on the outside in each direction of the freeway, as well as realigning all the ramps, reconstructing all the ramps using concrete so they last a lot longer than the typical pavement ramps. But what's not included is rehabilitating the lanes that were existing, right? Except of course where the areas where we're making the replacements replace those existing lanes. So there is a separate Caltrans project that is expected to follow this project, follow our 405 project, where they will be doing some lane rehabilitation. I'm not sure of the limits of that project, but I know Caltrans is always looking, and with SB1 is much more able now to address any kind of pavement issues that they've had that they have out there, and any kind of maintenance issues that are required. So we do know of one project that's coming on board after this one. I don't know the limits of it, and there may be additional projects. We can get back to you about that. Anywhere you see new construction, though, you'll see new paving, new concrete pavement, new hot mix asphalt. So hope that helps.
Okay, and just to kind of add to that, I'm sorry if you said this, but if it's like potholes or something that's really bad, maybe not just a little bit of roughness, even though that can be tough, but if it's something major like potholes or a really bad area, please, email us and let us know. We can, try to have our maintenance team and the construction crew fix that. It might not be something that's, has to be fully paved later.
Sure, that's a really good point. We are responsible, the project, I should say, is responsible for maintenance, the roadway. So if there's an area, pothole, like Nikki said, I think that's a really important point. Let us know, we'll make sure it's taken care of.
Not that we get a lot of rain here, but.
Yeah.
All right, Carlos, thank you everyone again for your patience. We're almost through all the questions. Carlos had a question: will the driveway entrance on Warner to the Plavin Shopping Center remain open, where the Sizzler, Del Taco, and the market is?
So the contract requirements is that there's always access to businesses. I don't know about this particular driveway, if it's the only one to that location. Let me take a look. Is this going to be, I think, maybe the Plavin Plaza Shopping Center, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah.
Yes.
So access to that shopping center will be maintained. I do not, and actually, I believe the closure limits, you probably will not be able to necessarily get to it from, if you're coming off the freeway northbound, but if you're coming from Bouchard and Warner, you should be able to get to it. There is access off of Bouchard. There is at least one. There's at least one driveway off of Warner. It's possible that that will be open. We'll have to take a look at that. But you can get to the. You do have the other entrance. I'm pretty sure we wouldn't close all three, or actually there are 4 entrances, but I don't think we'd close all 3 of these sort of major entrances to that plaza. We'll check with you. The one closest to Sizzler, I think, is probably, I would hope they would keep that one open.
Okay.
We will check for you on that one and get back to you, though. And that's a question that will go to, we'll include that in our Q&A follow-up that we send to everybody who's signed up for the meeting.
Yes. Okay, Lee had a few questions here. The concrete, or a comment on this one: the concrete barriers block your site while merging into oncoming traffic from Bouchard Warner northbound on-ramp.
So this, I think you're probably talking about the temporary K-rail, the temporary concrete barriers that are in place, merging into oncoming traffic from the Bouchard. So this is on the freeway. We will highlight that for the, I guess this would also be the MOT team, maybe the construction team, management team. Let them know and see if it can be adjusted. It may be a request we can send directly to the contractor. So Lee, if you would actually give us an email, that would be great. And we'll make sure we get back to you on that one as well.
And then Lee also had a question: can we lengthen the on-ramp? Yeah,
so the on-ramp, I think, is in a, well, if it isn't, it's going to be in a temporary configuration. It'll be it's already been designed. I don't know if in terms of the temporary configuration during construction and then the final configuration, I don't know what the status is. I don't know that will lengthen the on-ramp. You know, to basically extend that taper. You're dealing with the Ocean View Channel right there. You know, you also have this is what we would call a collector distributor road, right? Where you're coming on at Warner and you're getting off at Magnolia. So it's this sort of separate auxiliary lane there that you can use to get on and get off. So I don't know exactly what the final configuration is there, but there still will be a weave and a merge there. There was a lot of discussion about this during the environmental phase of the project, and I think very early on, there was a desire to eliminate this merging and weaving that you're describing, and with a braided ramp approach. And you may have seen other situations where you sort of have ramps that braid over one another. That was soundly declined as a solution here. So you may still be dealing with this short distance between Magnolia and between Warner and Magnolia on the northbound side, where you're forced to merge and weave through to get the traffic going onto the freeway.
All right, and Lee had a comment and question. HOV cars reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we were able to secure a carpool HOV sticker, so now that can't be used without being charged a toll. That's the question. Will you consider one express lane and one HOV free lane? So
I'll let you answer that first question. I'm going to answer really quickly the second question, which is it's a Caltrans facility. It is their desire to have the express lanes. The decision has been made, no going back.
Yes, and to kind of add to that, Caltrans was going to put the express lanes in, whether it was part of this project or any another project or outside of this project. So we made the decision, OCTA's board made the decision to put the public through a little less of the construction headache, so to speak, and combine adding the toll the toll express lane facility to our widening project, so that it would be a shorter time frame, a little bit more efficient, and a little bit easier on the community, instead of going through this project and then another construction project where they add these toll lanes. So
yeah, really good point. It would have basically been 5 years of construction for the regular lane, and then another 5 years of construction consecutive after that for the express lanes. So this accomplishes both. And granted, a lot of people do not like the idea of express lanes. They don't like the idea of being told to carpool, forced to carpool, if you will. It is the situation that we live in California with these managed lanes, and elsewhere, frankly, across the country. You can't qualify for project dollars at the state or federal level without addressing greenhouse gas emissions. Impossible to do.
So to add on to that, to answer your question about the carpool HOV sticker, hopefully that was a little bit clear when we talked about you can still carpool in the express lanes. With 3 or more, it's free. 2 or more, you can, at certain times you'll pay, and at other times it'll be free off peak for the first 3.5 years. And again, hopefully that's—
You should just say 2. It's not 2 or more, it's 2.
Sorry, 2. Yes, thank you.
I made that mistake too.
And hopefully that's a little bit clearer if you check out our for express lanes FAQs. The link is in the chat, also on our website. So you still will be able to carpool, but it won't be the same as it is today. So hopefully that's a little bit clearer. And if you have any other questions or want more for clarification, put it in your email to us, please, Lee. We'll be happy to continue to provide you with some answers.
For sure.
Okay, Ted, Mr. Gibson asked, can you keep Warner Avenue open to traffic by rebuilding the bridge 1/2 at a time like Brookhurst? I think we talked a little bit about this in the beginning.
Right. So the answer is that essentially what we've done is gone to a 1-phase approach with Warner. The reason for that is to minimize the amount of construction time and to make sure we get the project done on time, to get out of the city of Fountain Valley, if you will, sooner. So the construction-free two-phase bridge for Warner was 32 months. Taking it as a one-stage bridge changes it to 23 months. As another person pointed out earlier, the impact of that, it's different for different people, right? If you don't have Warner to use to get around, and you've got sort of congestion on other streets, it adds to your commute time, and which can add to frustrations. Completely understand, but we balance that with the need to accelerate the work for this bridge so that we can make sure we stay on schedule and on target with the project. And again, full traffic analysis to review the impact of closing it and changing it to one stage. And that analysis shows that traffic detoured from Warner can be managed at the new Magnolia, the new Talbot Bridge, the new, we've got Slater and Bouchard. Granted, they're further away, but there are other ways to get around throughout the community of Fountain Valley that I think that, together with optimizing signals at intersections where the detours are, really it's not going to shouldn't impact your commute too much. It will though, and I think it's important to note also that we're keeping all these ramps open, right? So you'll be able to access the freeway and get off the freeway while bridge construction is going on. That's pretty unusual for a one-stage bridge. So we're and the city of Fountain Valley has been very helpful with that, helping us work through those issues, try to figure these out, and make sure that we can get this job done. So.
All right, and that actually is one of the comments that Councilmember Constantine put in the Q&A. Thank you so much. Fountain Valley is supportive of Warner going down. We've partnered with the city very closely. We had to get their sign off on this, as well as Caltrans, in order to do that bridge as a one stage. And I think Chris also mentioned this. We just thank you everyone for your patience, and we know this is going to be difficult, but if you could just allow a little bit more time for commuting. I know commute times and drive times are changing now that things are changing with the pandemic. So please, thank you for your patience. And I just wanted to say before we get to the last two comments, Thomas, thank you. We did get your email with your questions that we weren't able to answer in this meeting. So thank you for emailing our team. I saw those go through. And Darren had a lovely compliment. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and efforts in providing the information to our community. The 405 project team is to be commended for their excellent work in getting this project to its completion. Please express appreciation to the whole team. Thank you very much for your kind words, and we will definitely share this compliment with our management team and the construction crews and anyone we can share this with.
Yeah, and thank you to the community, for your continued patience. We realize this is not easy. We're more than halfway done. These next 2 years are still pretty significant. I think we're all going to be tired of this, but come toward the end of 2022, I think we'll really be in the home stretch, looking at a lot of good work completed and in really good shape.
All right, and then we did get I think it was Carlos that may have asked about this. The shopping center, the driveway to Plavin Shopping Center on Warner will remain open. There may be temporary partial closures or half closures to reconstruct the Warner driveway closest to the bridge, but that will be short term. So I think it was Carlos that asked that. And Susan, we saw that you sent your address in the chat for us to see, and your comment about emergency vehicles already having a hard time as it is. So we will take that back to the team. Thank you for that information. And you're welcome, Carlos. And David, I think this is our last question, and then we'll probably wrap it up since we've gone a little bit longer. Thank you for everyone staying with us. It appears that there's no access to the businesses off Magnolia on the north side of the overpass, just south of the northbound ramp entrance. I think this may be the Slit and Sleep.
That's exactly right, Nikki. You're exactly right.
If those businesses are gone, what is the property going to be used for?
So that property is currently owned by OCTA. There are, I don't have any information on what the plans are for it, unfortunately. But owned by OCTA, we'll see what happens next.
Yes. All right. And then I don't think we got any information. David, you also asked about that Brookhurst Ram question. So we will follow up with you on that as well. And those are all the questions we have. I think for those that are still with us, we have one last poll that we would like to share. We'd like to know how this worked out for you. Would you like to see more virtual meetings for construction updates? All right, we're getting your answers in real time. Thank you so much. If you saw me just make a face, it's because my husband just got home, making a lot of noise.
I'd really like to say thank you again to everybody for sticking with us. You know, it's we've been doing a lot of these kinds of meetings, virtual meetings. We really enjoy them. It's a chance to connect with the community, connect with more people typically than we would even in our in-person meetings. So, you know, hopefully we'll be able to keep doing these. Maybe we'll have a mix of both in-person and virtual meetings in the future, you know, as we get past this pandemic. But I want to say it's been a really good experience for us. We really appreciate the time that people take to, you know, spend a Thursday afternoon, evening with us. This recording is you know, this webinar is being recorded. We're going to have it up on our project website in probably about 24 hours or so by the end of the day tomorrow. And great opportunity if you missed something to go back and take a look. Again, you can always email us or call us. You got the information there on the screen. You know, above our, which way is it? Above our heads, right there. Yeah, it's good stuff. So really appreciate your time. Thank you, team, for everything. Thank you, Gia, for being with us. And I think that's about it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.